the example of a concentric jump, which is an intermediate level plyometric. The athlete jumps up on the box and then just steps down on the lower box. Concentric jumps are great for building explosive power and aren't quite as dangerous as some of the other depth jumps that we'll be demonstrating later. The athlete is demonstrating the concentric jump. In this exercise, the athlete jumps from the ground up onto a box and then steps down on a lower box. This is an intermediate level plyometric and isn't quite as demanding as the depth jump or the hurdle hop. The athlete can start with a lower box and advance to a much higher box as they progress in their fitness level. The athlete's performing a depth jump. Now in the depth jump, the athlete will jump from a lower box and then hit the ground, immediately coming up and jumping to a higher box. The idea of this is to have an eccentric contraction or lengthening of the muscles immediately followed by a concentric contraction. This is a great exercise for building explosive power, but you have to be very careful at the height of the box that you're using because this exercise really loads the muscles when the athlete hits the ground and then rebounds immediately. Now in this exercise, you don't want to pause when you land, and you want to land both feet at the same time and immediately jump to the next box. The athlete's demonstrating the multi-box jumps. This is very similar to the depth jump, except the athlete will be performing this exercise with 4, sometimes 5, even 6 boxes. Again, a great builder of explosive power, but again, these types of exercises can only be performed in the competitive phase when the athlete is doing high-intensity, low-volume work, as it is very demanding on the neuromuscular system. This is an example of the single-leg box hop. Notice that the boxes are going to be a little bit lower. And for throwers, you have to be very careful. Obviously, throwers have a large musculature, and so when you do these types of activities, you're working a little bit more for rhythm, and so you want to use a little bit lower box. This next series is the rotational box series. The first exercise we call sides. In this one, the athlete will be facing sideways and perform a depth jump. The sideways position is very similar to the position the athlete will be in the power position in the shot put and discus. The next exercise is 180 degrees. This one, again, is a depth jump that combines a rotational aspect that is really good for coordination and torso development. The last exercise, the 360, the athlete has his back to the landing area. This is really good because in the shot put and the discus, you start with your back to the sector. In this exercise, the athlete has to learn the trust as they hit and they do a 360-degree turn in the air. Again, this one's a little more difficult, so we're using a little bit lower box.